Hey, what's up, guys? What's up? It's your boy Smooth Now Foul. Yo, it's been a minute. Actually, it's been a month. I know, guys. I know. I'm sorry. Um, but right now, today, I'm trying to record a video. Because it's been a minute since I recorded something for y'all guys. So today, we're checking out a video game designer thinks that you're living in a simulation. So let's check it out and see what's going on. Play.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I was a video game developer in Silicon Valley, and then I became an investor in the video game industry. My background's in computer science. And what happened was after I sold my last video game company back in 2016, so we're talking 7 years ago now, 8 years ago now, and I put on a virtual reality headset and started playing a VR ping pong game. All right, now these headsets were even bigger than they are now, and they were wired, so there's no mistaking you're in virtual reality. But what happened was that the ping pong game was so realistic that for a moment my brain forgot that this wasn't a real game of table tennis. So much so that I tried to put the paddle down on the table and I tried to lean against the table. But of course there was no table. So the controller fell to the floor and I almost fell over. I had to do one of these double takes like, oh wait, I'm just in VR. Right? So I started to think about how long would it take us to build something like the Matrix, something that's so immersive that you would forget, right, that you were inside a video game. And so that led me to this idea of the simulation point, which is a kind of technological singularity. But then I started to research things like quantum physics and some of the mysteries around, the observer effect and quantum mechanics. And then I started to look at all the world's religions, and I realized that they're all kind of saying the same thing, which is that there is no physical universe. And so, that led me to the conclusion that we are most likely inside some kind of a computer simulation or a massively multiplayer video game, depending on.
I've seen that most of things in our nature keep on glitching. Like I've seen birds glitch. I've seen dogs. I saw one dog and then end up being two dogs. So I thought I was crazy. Maybe I was high. I was like, nah, what? But things like this, they've been there since from the long times. History repeats itself. The same patterns but different time zones. Same things but different. So it's like that.
How you look at it.
But where did that simulation come from if we are inside of it?
Well, that's the big question, right? And there's two versions of simulation theory. And, I teach a class on this at Arizona State University. It's probably the first college-level class about simulation theory, and it kind of pulls in science fiction, religion, philosophy, and technology. But one of the key distinctions I tell my students to make, because it's not talked about a lot with simulation theory, is what I call the NPC versus the RPG versions of simulation theory.
Okay.
Right. So NPC, as you probably know, means non-player characters within video games. So those are the AIs in the video game. The bartenders, the people you're beating up, the opponents, all of that stuff. But basically, they're just code and they're AI. Then there's the RPG version, which is that we are actually doing a role-playing game. Right. So you exist outside the game, and then you have a character or avatar inside the game. So it's just like what we would consider an MMORPG today, right? Except with more sophisticated technology. And so in that case, you get a little bit of a different answer than if you talk about an NPC-only type of simulation, right? Because that's just running on a computer, and we're all AI in that case. Now, the two aren't mutually exclusive, right? In a video game like Fortnite or whatever, World of Warcraft, you have NPCs and you have PCs or player characters, right? So you've got both of those things going on. And so depending on how you look at it, you might come to different answers about who's outside the simulation, which would answer the question of who made the simulation, right?
Yeah.
So in the first case, you basically say that if we can get to the point where we can build these simulations, what I call the simulation point. So I call that a kind of technological singularity. Now, we've heard the term singularity mostly because of AI and super intelligent AI, right? And AI is going to take over the world. But the guy who defined the term was actually a computer scientist who became a science fiction writer named Vernor Vinge. In fact, he just passed away like a month ago or something. He was a real pioneer in like science fiction and the cyberpunk kind of subgenre or so. And so he said the singularity happens when technology increases exponentially to the point where everything will be different for humans after that point. Now, he gave like 4 different ways we could reach the singularity. Most of us talk about only one, which is AI starts to become super intelligent and it grows exponentially and everything will be different. But I think this idea of the simulation point where we can create simulations that are indistinguishable from reality. And I lay out like 10 stages in my book of all the technology we would need, including brain-computer interfaces, like in the Matrix, right? So
Or Neuralink.
Or Neuralink, right? We're getting there, right?
We're very close.
We're at the beginning of that whole
Yeah.
phase. And so that's stage 8, stage 7 and stage 8 on the way to the simulation point. And, being able...
I think we're on stage 8, but already many things, in life are getting there. Like right now, so like Mr. Beast is like curing blindness. How can he cure blindness? But you know what? Okay, it's fine. Elon Musk is implanting chips. So it's not actually going to be a physical AI. We are the AI. So we're gonna be like lab rats. Bio. They were what? Biomechanics. What? They were bio something. I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm gonna check the name. But we're gonna be like those people instead of like a real AI, because they have done machines. Try building machines so that they can work on AI, and those machines, they can't be trusted all the time. Sometimes they malfunction, they overheat, or they do something. So like right now, they're trying to combine it with the human nature, in order to understand, So that's why some of them already planted chips. We've been living in a simulator. It's just that people are just discovering that right now. But all you gotta do is just use the simulator. Do what you can do. Just to help better yourself forward.
to read, but also then being able to write memories as well. And then so the definition of the simulation point is being able to create a virtual reality that is indistinguishable from physical reality with AI characters that are indistinguishable from biological characters. So, you wouldn't be able to tell you're talking to an NPC, basically.
Right.
We're getting closer to that already, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's like companies out there doing smart NPCs now inside video games.
Right, but what would be the difference between looking at what is possible in the future and making either a hypothesis or suggesting that has already taken place?
Right, so that's kind of the leap, right, that you need to make, which is to say that if we can do it, now let's imagine a civilization that was 1,000,000 years ahead of us, 1,000 years ahead of us.
Yeah.
Even 200 years ahead of us, right? But certainly 1,000 years ahead of us. So where will computers be in 1,000 years? They would already have created these types of simulations.
Right.
Right, because if we can do it, now 50 years ago, we didn't know if we could do it. We didn't know if computers could get to that point, right? Today, we're pretty sure we can get there. In fact, I'd say that I'm 70% sure that we will get to the simulation point, which means I think there's a 70% chance we're living inside a simulation. And so the point is, if they already got there, they created a whole bunch of simulations, okay? And you can't tell the difference whether you're in the real world or a simulated world, right? So there's 99 of these, there's one of these, but you can't tell the difference. So which one are you more likely in? Just statistically speaking now, we're not even, projecting the technology forward. We're just saying it's more likely you're in one of the 99 than the one because there's so many more of these, right?
Sort of.
If you can't tell the difference, right?
If you can't tell the difference. But there's so many things you have to think about, right? There's so many things you have to take into consideration. One of them is we don't have a straight linear line from the moment that we're born to the moment that we exist in currently. The reason being is that we go to sleep every night.
Right.
It's a weird thing. We shut off every night. And we wake up intermittently, and you go back to bed. Maybe you have to pee. Maybe you're thirsty. You go back to bed. and then you wake up again. But when you wake up, you are just waking up. Like when I woke up this morning, I don't know if this is the life I've always lived.
Right.
I'm assuming it is because I have all these detailed memories of the past. I see my dog. He reacts the exact same way he always does. You know, I see my wife. I see my kids. I see my house. It's the same house that I remember. But I'm not sure. I just woke up.
Right.
I'm a little foggy already.
It just
right?
exists in your memory at
It
that
just
point.
exists in your
Right.
memory.
And so
this might be the first day of my life.
Right. If suppose that you can implant false memories, right?
Right.
So this was a popular topic
Imagine if we sleep, if we were asleep, and then our souls travel through different dimensions. You know, imagine you're asleep and your soul goes to another dimension. Every time you go to sleep, your soul gets from your body, comes in, and you go to another dimension, and then you live in that dimension. You would see sometimes you're like, no man, why is this thing so weird? Why are you acting so weird today? But like, you don't know how the spiritual world actually works, you know. And some people are trying to play with it. You know, it's a dangerous thing, you know, to do also. You know, but there's nothing you can do. All you gotta do is just pray. All you gotta do is just pray.
Philip K. Dick, right?
Yes.
His movies like Total Recall, and even in Blade Runner. Right? You know, I interviewed his wife while I was researching, you know, my book.
He was a wild boy.
He was an interesting guy, right?
Yeah.
And he said some interesting things. In fact, all the way back in 1977 in Metz, France, at a sci-fi convention, he said, and there's a pretty famous quote, he said, "We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is if some variable is changed, some alteration occurs in our reality." Right? And that's become kind of a famous quote in the simulation world. But if you listen to the rest of the quote, he says, well, we would basically rerun the same events and we would change some variables, right? And we would have a sense of deja vu, like maybe we've already done this, right? Maybe I've, you know, talked to you before,
Right.
in a different run of the simulation, right? And this idea, like after I wrote my first book on this topic, the simulation hypothesis, this idea wouldn't leave me that, well, if you can run one simulation, you can certainly run it multiple times. In fact, that's what we would do, right? If we were running a simulation of the weather, we wouldn't just run it once. We would run it multiple times. And if we were doing a simulation of whatever, right? Pandemic, anything, name it, we would change the variables and we would go forward. And so, you know, when I interviewed Tessa, you know, Philip K. Dick's last wife, she said that he came to believe this was really happening, right? That someone was altering with our reality and they would change a few variables and rerun the simulation forward. So now we're getting pretty deep in the rabbit hole. So this is the topic of my second book, which is called The Simulated Multiverse. This idea that each of these timelines could be like a different run of the simulation itself. So that gets a little weird at that point, right? Because now we're saying that time isn't the same thing, right, that we think it is. So with the simulation hypothesis, we're saying that space doesn't really exist. It basically gets rendered for us like a video game. And then with this second idea, we're saying that time doesn't really exist because what you remember could have been either implanted memories or it could be a specific run of the simulation, right? So if you run it again, maybe things are slightly different the second time you run it. So Philip K. Dick came to believe that his novel, The Man in the High Castle, which was turned into a pretty cool series. I don't know if you've seen it. It was on Amazon a few years ago. But in that, in the novel and in the series, Germany and Japan won World War II. And so you see in America that's been divided. Like the East Coast is run by the Germans, the West Coast is run by the Japanese, and you see this kind of fascist type world. And so, you know, he later came to believe that this actually happened, and somehow the simulators reran it again, and the current timeline is one that was allowed to go forward, like, you know, further forward than where that one might have ended. And so he says that at some point, all these memories came flooding back to him of this other timeline. He called it, he used this Greek word, it's called an anamnesis, which means a loss of forgetfulness, right? So he said, we might be able to remember these other runs of the simulation. So anyway, that gets us into, this whole idea of, is the past what we think it is, right? That's, I think, the question you were asking, right?
Yes.
Because you're like, if I just remember X, Y, Z, is that what actually happened? Or is it just a representation of the past in the present?
Yeah.
And so when I started looking into the quantum physics side of it, I found something really weird. And we can talk about the observer effect, but this was like even weirder than that. And it was something proposed by John Wheeler, who was at Princeton with Einstein, and he was a bit younger than Niels Bohr and Einstein and all these kind of forefathers of quantum mechanics. And he came up with several things that are worth talking about, but one of them is the delayed choice experiment, or the cosmic delayed choice experiment, which puts into doubt this idea of the past. And since we're talking about the past, let's go into this now, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So imagine there's something like a quasar, and that's 1 billion light years away from us, right? And the light is coming from that quasar to here, so it's going to take 1 billion years to get here because it's 1 billion light years away. And then suppose there's something in the middle, like a black hole that's in the middle, or a galaxy, something that's very gravitationally big. And so suppose the light has to go to the left or to the right of that object. And suppose that object is like 1 million light years away from us. So it's a lot closer, but it's still 1 million light years away. Mm-hmm. So the decision about when the light goes to the left or to the right would have to be made when, right? It would have to be made in the past, about 1 million years ago, because it takes light from that, let's say it's a black hole. It's 1 million light years away, so it takes 1 million years for the light to reach Earth. And we can measure whether it went to the left or to the right. Well, it turns out that decision is in the past, as we think of it, but what the delayed choice experiment tells us is that that decision is made now when we measure that light. Right? When the little telescopes, suppose we have 2 telescopes, one picks up on the left, one picks up on the right, and it's when we do the measurement. And until we do that measurement, both of those possibilities still exist. So we have these 2 possible pasts. 1 million years ago, right? The light went to the left or to the right. But which one happened isn't decided until the measurement is done today.
Well, it's a lot of crazy series, wow, I don't know what to say right now. I'm speechless. But it might be possible. That we're living in a different world right now, because like the world has been there since back then, and there were a lot of smart people back then. Right now, we are also not everybody just smart, but like if you can compare the people back then and the people right now, you can see what those people back then were most hard workers than right now. Right now it's just that we're being changed into we're being changed. We had a way of going this way, but now it's turning into a wrong direction. And I'm saying, just be careful out there, just be careful, because a lot of things can happen. Just like right now, just social media, some things, are very disturbing, and to teach someone from a young age to do that, at least teach them when they're like 18 at the right appropriate time, Me, I knew these things, but I never. I don't want the government to come to me, But I know y'all keep safe. Y'all stay focused, and make sure you follow the right path. The right path is the Lord, So guys, I'll be posting this seven days a week, for 3 weeks. I'm trying to get to 10K. If y'all support me, we're gonna get 10K, by December. But I can see that I've been away for a month, and y'all didn't even at least 3 more subscribers. But I'm gonna keep on pushing. I'm gonna keep on posting. If y'all like the video, just like it. If you got something to say, just comment down below. If you wanna show your friend, just share it. If you like the content and you want me to keep on doing this and show the support, You know, in future we might do different things. You know, just I see the vision, just that you don't, because I'm the one who plans the video. But you know what, in the future we might do a lot of different things. But you know what, guys, I appreciate y'all for watching this video. Please hit the like button right there. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit the comments down section right there. Please, guys. You know, let's work as a team. Let's work as a team. You know, I'm gonna respond to every comment down below. You know, if you comment. So please, guys, you know, I really hope to see y'all also in the future. But you know what? It's from me, Smooth Not Found. Hope I'm not found, because I'm trying to keep it smooth, you know. But you know what? Keep it lit.